Hello everyone. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now, let's begin. I hadn't talked to my brother Mark in 3 years, not since the argument about our dad's will. But when he called unexpectedly and asked if I'd assist him in moving across the state, I agreed. Perhaps it was guilt. Perhaps it was curiosity. We talked in the parking lot of a diner, neutral territory, and left that same evening. Just two brothers and a U-Haul truck carrying what was left of Mark's life. We drove Route 47, a narrow, twisting back road that bisects 200 miles of woods. Mark told me it had cut 3 hours off our journey. I should have known better. It was after 1 a.m. when we first saw the indication. A weather-beaten wooden post at the side of the road, so worn down I nearly did not notice it. Welcome to Dunning Loop, population 51. Dunning Loop, I asked, looking at Mark. Never seen it. He shrugged. One of those ghost towns, I guess. Except the following sign we encountered indicated the same thing, same shape, same wonky lettering. We drove through 4 additional signs just like it, each of them 10 minutes apart, all of them saying welcome to the same town, repeatedly. What the heck is this? I groaned, slowing. Are we looping around? Mark asked. I looked at the GPS. The blue dot continued to move ahead. We weren't heading back, and yet the signs didn't cease. Then the trees grew sparse and we caught a glimpse of it. A small group of darkened houses beneath a full moon. No streetlights, no cars, no activity. Just a weathered town sign that stated, "You are now leaving Dunning Loop. Come again soon." We drove by it, and 5 minutes later, welcome to Dunning Loop. Pop 51. Again. Mark blanched. We just left. I stopped the truck and climbed out. The night air was chilly, too chilly for summer. Everything was still. No crickets, no wind, nothing. Then I saw it. A man standing at the forest's edge, standing still. No flashlight, no coat, just standing. He didn't wave, he didn't budge. I ran back to the truck quickly. Someone's out there. Mark did not seem surprised. I just saw him 20 minutes ago, over by the first sign. I floored it, speeding along the road. I let out a breath after a bit. Perhaps we were just exhausted. Perhaps the road was playing tricks on us. And then Mark leaned forward, his eyes squinting through the windshield. Is that a gas station? Sure enough, a faint flickering light showed a rusty gas pump and an askew open sign hanging precariously from one nail. Starving for a landmark, I stopped. The station was silent as the grave. Inside, shelves were filled with things I hadn't seen in decades. Out-of-date brands of soda, VHS tapes, cigarette machines. It was stepping into 1993. Behind the counter, there was an old man who gazed up at us. His eyes were pale and unfocused, as though he was looking right through us. "Lost, are ya?" he croaked in a brittle voice. I nodded. "Yeah, we're trying to get to Route 9. This road just keeps..." "Dunning Loop," he cut me off. "Only way out of that hole." "How?" I asked. He said nothing. He reached under the counter and pushed something across to me. A photograph of me in the same filling station, in the same clothes. But the photograph was old, yellowed, rotting along the edges. I couldn't say anything before he continued. "You've been here before. You just don't remember." Mark took the photograph from the counter. "What the bloody hell is that? Some sort of joke?" The old man didn't flinch. "Not a joke. You and your brother, you always return. People always do." I glared at him, my heart pounding in my head. "What do you mean, always?" "Dunning Loop doesn't release." He leaned towards me, his face inches from mine, and I could smell the stale tobacco on his breath. "If you drive, you'll keep circling this road until you die of hunger. You want out." He tapped the counter. "Then you listen closely." I swallowed. "Okay, how do we get out?" He gestured toward the woods beyond the station. "The road won't set you free. It's in the trees. There's a path, but you have to walk it. No turning back, no looking back." I looked at Mark. This is crazy. But when I glanced down at the picture again, my gut flipped. There was another one underneath it, a photo of the two of us by the side of the U-Haul truck. But the truck was burned out and rusted, like it had sat there for years. Mark's voice trembled. "Let's just take the trail. Anything's better than this." We left the U-Haul in front of the gas station and took a flashlight. The old man's eyes trailed behind us until we vanished into the trees. The woods were off, too still, no wind, no crickets. Not even the sound of our own footfalls felt right. It was like the air was thicker, heavier, weighing on us. The further in we went, the colder it became. After perhaps 10 minutes, we saw something ahead, a further wooden sign, screwed onto a tree. "Welcome to Dunning Loop, population 51. "No," Mark whispered. "We're not on the road. We can't be." But as we approached further, the ground beneath us gave way. I mean, not metaphorically. It literally tilted, as if we were walking on something animate. We continued on until we saw lights. Behind the trees, a dim light, a headlight. We were relieved. I elbowed through the brush and staggered out onto asphalt. But it wasn't Route 9. It was the same road we had been on. And sitting there in front of us was our U-Haul truck. The headlights were on. The engine was running. But we hadn't left it like that. Mark cursed under his breath and sprinted to the driver's side. "Keys are missing," he said. "They're not in the ignition." Then I saw something that froze my blood. On the dashboard, stuck against the glass, was a newly taken photo. It was of us, taken right then, in the woods. I sensed movement behind. The old man at the gas station stood in the road, his pale eyes glowing softly in the headlights. But this time, his voice wasn't brittle. It was deeper. "Wrong. You didn't listen. Nobody ever listens." Mark ripped open the passenger door, shouting, "Get in!" We leapt in, banging the doors shut behind us. I stuck the key in the ignition. And when I glanced in the rearview mirror, I knew something was horribly amiss. The road we'd left behind wasn't a road anymore. It was rows of houses, broken, still houses with black windows, all identical, all turned towards us as if they'd sprouted out of the asphalt. And in each and every doorway stood a figure in a blank white mask. I floored it, speeding down the road. Houses blurred past, the masked characters never budging, just standing there and watching. I didn't dare look back until the trees reappeared and the road leveled out again. By some sort of miracle, the GPS system activated again. It informed us we were under a mile from Route 9. We didn't talk. We didn't even slow down. We just kept driving until we reached the main highway and never saw another sign for Dunning Loop after that. Later that night, I unpacked my stuff and discovered something in my bag that was not mine. A Polaroid of me and Mark sleeping in the truck. On the back, in black marker, 3 words were written, "See you soon." The idea was simple. Drive across the country with my 2 friends, rotate driving, and arrive at our destination in 3 days. We had done road trips before, but not like this. This time, we decided to use the scenic back roads rather than the highways. Fewer people, more excitement. The first 2 days were fine, even fun. But by the 3rd night, something changed. We'd been driving for hours without seeing a single other vehicle. No gas stations, no motels, just endless trees and broken pavement. Around midnight, the GPS began to malfunction. It continued to reroute us in circles, displaying non-existent roads. When I attempted to use my phone's map, the signal had vanished. Complete dead zone. Didn't we just pass this same billboard? Emma, in the back seat, asked anxiously. I looked to the right. She was correct. The same dilapidated billboard with a cracked ad for a diner, except this time, something new had been sprayed over it in red paint. "Turn back now." We brushed it off at first, thinking it was just graffiti, but none of us said aloud what we were all thinking. Who would drive way out here, in the middle of nowhere, just to spray something like that? We decided to continue on, but after another 20 minutes, my headlights picked up on something odd. There was a car on the side of the road. Its hood was up, and the driver's door hung open. "Do we stop?" Emma asked. "No way," I said at once. "It's abandoned." But as we went by, I noticed something in the back of the rearview mirror that chilled my blood. A man was standing behind the car, just standing there, perfectly still, his face pale in the glow of our taillights. He was holding something in his hand, a crowbar. I pressed harder on the gas, heart racing, but then our car engine sputtered. "Don't tell me we're out of gas," Jake, who was in the passenger seat, muttered. The fuel gauge was fine, but the engine cut out anyway. We coasted to a stop on the side of the road. The silence that ensued was the kind of silence that gets in your ears. Then, from behind, we heard footsteps. The footsteps were slow, deliberate, crunching on gravel. None of us said anything. I clutched the steering wheel so tightly my hands ached, but I couldn't turn around. "Did you lock the doors?" Emma breathed. Jake reached fast across and slapped the lock button, just as something ran along the trunk of the car. A soft scraping noise like metal on paint. "Perhaps it's a raccoon or something," Jake stammered. "No raccoon has a crowbar," Emma spit. I managed to turn my head just far enough to catch a glimpse of the side mirror. That's when I saw him. The fellow from the stranded vehicle was standing directly behind us. He wore a filthy jacket and no shoes, his face half shrouded in darkness. He still held the crowbar in one hand, and in the other was something I couldn't place to begin with, until the light from our tail lights caught it. It was a car key. He brought up the crowbar slowly, not to strike us, but to indicate the woods along the road. "Whatever does that mean?" Jake whispered. Before I could respond, the man began walking, not towards us, but towards the tree line. Gradually, step for step, as though he wanted us to follow. Emma started to sob softly. "We have to call someone. Anyone." I took out my phone. No signal. Jake's phone. Dead. Emma's. No signal. We were stuck. That's when the man halted, slightly turned his face in our direction, and smiled. Not a smile. His lips were parched, bleeding, and pulled too wide, as if his face wasn't constructed for smiling. Then he sprinted, not towards us, but directly into the woods, vanishing into the darkness. "Drive! Drive now!" Jake yelled. I attempted to start the car, and it leapt into action, as though it had never stalled whatsoever. I slammed the accelerator, tires squealing on cracked pavement. We didn't say a word for the next 10 minutes. I just kept going, faster and faster, until we reached an old gas station with one flickering light. Relieved, I pulled over, but the station appeared deserted. The shelves within were bare. The cash register was in pieces, and sitting directly on the counter, facing the entrance, was something that made my blood run cold. A paper map of the region, with a large red X drawn across the very road we'd just traveled. Under it, in sloppy script, were 3 words: "Still behind you." Jake clamped his hand on my arm. "We have to go, now." I wheeled to the car, and that's when I saw it. The man, standing in the sputtering light next to our car, his crowbar dragging across the hood, grinning. I don't recall how we escaped. I only remember racing through innumerable roads until the sun rose. We never saw him again, but when I arrived at home, I saw something on my trunk, a deep, long scratch, and taped to it a tiny piece of paper with one word scrawled on it: "Soon." Claire held onto my arm. "Don't get out. Please don't get out." But I had to. I got out of the car, my knees trembling, and yelled, "What do you want?" There was no answer. I stepped closer. The car behind us wasn't normal. The windshield was broken, the paint was dull, and the license plate, it was entirely blank. Then I saw something else. There was a picture taped to the driver's window of me and Claire, sitting in our car, taken from behind. My breath stuck in my throat. I backed away and leapt into our car. The tail lights behind us clicked on again, but there was no one sitting in the driver's seat. I floored it. We didn't stop for a second, not until the sun was rising and the gas needle was screaming empty. We gasped in through a crowded station just outside a tiny town. For the first time all night, I felt secure, until I glanced at our trunk. Someone had carved one word into the paint. Next. We still have no idea what occurred on that road. Claire, however, received a message last night from an anonymous number. It was a picture of our vehicle in our driveway. I remember Claire looking up from her phone and saying, "Didn't we pass an exit 19 like an hour ago?" I dismissed it, assuming she was exhausted. But then, 10 minutes later, there it was once more. Exit 19, last stop for 50 miles. Same form, same letters, same bullet holes in the top left. Perhaps they simply have a lot of signs for that exit, I ventured, though my tone felt empty. We continued driving, but as the minutes ticked by, the exits never varied. Exit 19, again and again, and then the gas gauge fell below a quarter tank. By 2 a.m., the road had become frighteningly dark. The reflectors on the pavement barely showed up, and our headlights fought against the thick mist blowing in off the trees. That's when Claire saw something in the rearview mirror. "There's a car behind us," she whispered. I glanced in the mirror. Sure enough, a set of headlights was behind us, about half a mile back. Nothing suspicious, right? Except they remained the same distance. No closing, no picking up speed, like whoever was driving wanted to tail us, but not close to. "Should I pick up the pace?" I asked. "Yeah, just a little," Claire replied. I floored it, and the car accelerated. But so did the headlights behind us, mimicking our every action. We pushed over 80 miles per hour, but the car remained precisely half a mile behind us, never closer, never further. Then, it turned off its headlights. "Did they just—" Claire began, but I silenced her. Yeah, they did. Now there was nothing but a blacktop highway behind us, but I swear I could still sense those eyes, observing from the darkness. A little over 10 minutes later, we spotted a dark gas station off the side of the road. It hadn't looked modernized since the 70s, one flickering neon sign and 2 old pumps. "Should we stop?" Claire asked. I hesitated. Something in my belly roared, no, but we were empty. We pulled in. The place was deserted. No vehicles, no humans. But when I got out of the car, I saw something that made my gut curl. Fresh footprints leading from the pumps into the woods. Bare footprints, the kind that leave slight impressions of blood. The atmosphere near that gas station was off. It was thick, as if the fog was weighing down my chest. I took hold of the fuel nozzle, but the pump display was empty. Dead. "Forget it," I grunted, setting it down. "Let's just leave." Claire was looking beyond me, at the tree line. "Do you see that?" I looked where she was looking. I thought at first it was the headlights bisecting the fog. But then I saw them, 3 of them, standing just at the edge of the woods. Their faces were colorless, bleached by the light. They weren't moving. They weren't even breathing. I was stuck in place, holding the car door. "Get in, now." Claire didn't fight. She climbed into the passenger seat as I turned the key. The engine burst to life, and then the figures began walking toward us, not running, not staggering, just walking in perfect lockstep. I floored it and sped back onto the highway. My hands were trembling so hard I nearly missed the wheel. But then Claire leaned in close and said something that chilled my blood. "They're still behind us." I looked in the rearview mirror. The silhouettes were gone from the woods, but the beams from that car before were back. Closer this time, not any more half-mile away. "Please, why won't they just overtake us?" Claire asked, her voice cracking. I did not reply. I could not. Every time I accelerated, they also did. Every time I brake, they follow. And then I couldn't take it anymore. I slammed on the brakes and pulled to the shoulder. The other vehicle stopped as well, 50 feet back. Its headlights went off. The road was quiet.